OK，so let's start 欢迎大家来到律动直播间。大家好啊。let's start. Oh, there's echo. Sorry. All right. 我是今天律动 Next 的主持人，律动海外负责人魏一豪。今天呢是律动 Next 的直播的第6期。我们还是先来一个预告啊。因为每次直播可能到中间的时候会有观众可能先离开，所以我们还是先来一个预告。我们今天依旧会有2轮弹幕抽奖。这次跟以往不同，我们会抽3000枚 props 代币。也就是今天我们的嘉宾邀请的 prop 他们的原生代币，所以大家一定要观看到直播结束。我记得上回直播的时候，由于这个项目的隐私性和特殊性，我们邀请了为他们进行了变声和不露脸的特殊直播方式。所以我其实当时就看着弹幕，然后自己看着自己直播了1个小时，所以本来体验就非常特殊。当时我看到弹幕还有人对我进行了言语攻击啊，说我是照片还是什么。当然我今天给出一些建议，如果弹幕用语不文明或者对主持人进行言语攻击的中奖用户，那么我们将酌情考虑不予发奖啊。下面说一些我们最近的近况吧。时间还是过挺快的，已经到了2020年的最后1个月了。这一阵呢，可能主流数字货币的就是涨得非常凶啊。BTC 数字突破新高，现在已经逼近了2万美元的大关。我们不知道大家在这波行情里边是赚是亏，当然我们希望大家还是收益突破新高，但是无论如何还是要保持理性投资，量力而行。那么律动呢也会始终陪伴在大家身边，不管行情如何躁动，我们都会像续火的凉茶一样，帮助大家理性分析，客观看待市场。在这里呢，我想和大家分享一个好消息，就是我们律动的全新板块播客已经上线了。就是我们知道国内的用户可能对这个大家也但是我相信大家都会听广播或者听相声，其实这个功能和广播啊、相声啊都一样，就是让大家在解放双手的同时获得资讯、学习知识。那么其实海外很多不管是传统领域还是区块链公司，包括一些资本啊和媒体，他们都已将播客列为主要的媒介之一了。所以律动这次呢汇集也是入驻了6家播主，共计上百条的音频素材，包括中文和英文的双语播客内容，涵盖了包括 Web3 项目投资、传统金融和加密金融的跨越等等题材。欢迎大家下载这个律动 App， 或者在律动网页其实也可以看到。当然更推荐下载律动 App 进行收听。那么我们言归正传，回到今天的直播。2020 Next 系列由律动联合酷币共同推出，希望通过这场系列活动可以让行业目光更多聚焦于创新。2020 Next 活动将持续1年，每个月列出15个项目，邀请大众进行助力。每期热度最高的1到2个项目团队呢，将成为当月的对话嘉宾。从7月中旬吧，律动开始了首期 Next 直播，到现在已经也不知不觉陪伴了大家半年了。我们之前播出的5期节目中，通过社区投票的方式，总共甄选出了8个项目，并且邀请了11位嘉宾和我们进行分享，涵盖的领域也很广啊，囊括了包括 DeFi 的借贷啊，然后预言机啊，包括流动性挖矿啊，还有一些物联网协议，还甚至后来最新的一些 NFT。那么本期呢，我们邀请的嘉宾是 props， 是这个项目其实又跟之前很不一样，它的定位是 SEC 的合规项目，然后它现在做的事情主要其实就是在 Web3 下面的所有权经济。那么我们这次也很荣幸的邀请到了 props 的联合创始人兼 CEO Simon 以及props 的合作伙伴 Listia 的 CEO G Tron。那么我先给大家做一个简单的介绍，那么就是 props 主打消费类应用代币激励及治理系统，在19年7月获得了美国证券交易委员会 SEC Regulation A 加豁免法规批准，消除了其公开发售代币的最大障碍。据媒体报道呢 ，props 此前已完成了2100万美元的代币融资，包括知名的联合广场风投，也是 USV， 然后 Comcast、Rockefeller 旗下的 Vanrock 以及硅谷风投巨头安德森霍洛维茨基金旗下的加密货币投资基金 A16Z 掌门人 Chris Dixon 以及投资人 Casey 均参与了此次融资。那么 props 的代币 props token 被定义为一种基础性货币， 专门用于奖励用户、内容创作者、开发者和其他网络参与者。Props 在今年5月入选了2.5亿 Algo 奖励计划，并宣布将私链 Props Chain 从以太坊上迁移至开源公链 Algorand。下面是关于 Listia。Listia 成立于2009年，是一个在线二手物品竞价和交易市场，注册用户超过1000万，用户应用内的积分竞拍和购买物品，并通过出售物品赚取积分。Listia 上出售的商品种类多种多样，从古典乐到 iPhone， 从园艺工具到圣诞袜，应有尽有。Listia 是参与到 Props 生态积分会员制计划的第一个电子商务应用。那么接下来我们先请2位嘉宾简单的向观众介绍一下他们自己和他们的项目。So we're gonna enter the first round of questions. The first question is to both of the Adi and G. So could you please tell our audience a bit about yourself? So how about start with Adi?
Thank you, Yihao, for having us. My name is Adi Seidman. I'm the co-founder of Props. My background is in media. I built several consumer networks at scale. Co-founded the world's first online karaoke in the United States, and it was sold to Fox MySpace at the height of MySpace. And then founded YouNow, live streaming app with over 60 million users. YouNow was the first in 2014 to introduce digital currency in the context of a two-sided market, where users could not only buy into the virtual currency, but content creators could earn the virtual currency. So this was not crypto yet, and you know, that was part of the background before crypto.
Right, thank you, Adi. And what about you, G?
Yeah, sure, thanks. So hi everyone, my name is G. I'm one of the co-founders and current CEO of Listia. Listia is a marketplace where people primarily buy, sell, and trade used goods. So before Listia, I worked as an engineer out here in Silicon Valley. I also co-founded a few different online marketing businesses with my current co-founder, James. And around 2009 is when James and I started Listia. And it was really kind of a result of, you know, we were frustrated with existing marketplaces. The story was James had an old pair of snowboard boots that he was trying to just give away to someone, I think on Craigslist. And so he posted it, and you know, he got a dozen emails, and he chose someone to get the boots. And he left work early to meet the guy, and the guy never showed up. So he thought, you know, there must be a better way for, you know, it's the type of goods where it's just something you don't need anymore. Like, how do you get rid of it? How do you exchange it and trade it with others? Setting ourselves a little bit apart from like eBay and Amazons of the world. So yeah, to date, we've got over 10 million registered users. People buy and sell using our own in-app currency called Listia Points. And yeah, earlier this year, we're, you know, excited we joined the Props network, kind of working together, kind of pursue this idea of a mainstream consumer token. So really excited.
All right, cool. Thank you, G. For the next question, how do you come up with the project idea, and what are their visions? So, Adi,
so
start from
yeah, I started telling about the background in YouNow, the live streaming service, and really, no, content creators were devoting many hours each day to entertain people, and really helping growing the service. And I remember they would come to me and they would say, you know, Adi, you're going to be a tech millionaire. I devote every day here, and I get paid a few $1,000s at the end of the month. I want to be a partner. I want to get paid in stock options. I want to be able to grow with this service. And so not just a revenue share dollars. So that got us, you know, considering a more equitable and fair way to reward all contributors to the network, not just the founders and the investors you know, with potential upside. And so in 2017, we started props to enable any company to issue loyalty tokens, and you know, to bootstrap that to mass adoption. Props enables businesses to effectively tokenize loyalty points, and it's a work discount token. It accrues value that is backed by the discounts and the premium features that the token unlocks in participating apps. And it provides the users not just the utility, but a scarce token that provides a financial, you know, stake in the network that they help grow. And it turns users not just to, you know, loyal people who are coming back, but to business partners of these apps, and with a financial stake. And so, you know, apps that use props reward their users with props, and the props protocol rewards the apps for the demand value that they generate for the props token. And so the go-to-market is really distributing props through the participating apps like Listia, G's company. And today we have 6 apps that have joined the network, 4 apps that have launched, and over 7 million users who use props.
Okay, thank you, D. What about you, G?
Yeah. So Listia, I touched on it a little bit with the kind of snowboard boot story, but the real idea was, it started as a platform where you could just kind of give away things you don't need. So not even really a marketplace, just sort of a for free type platform. But soon after that, we realized that, you know, when you give something away, we wanted to give you sort of this gamification kind of point system where, you know, the more you give, the more you can get. And that's how we introduced sort of this concept of points. Back then it was called credits. And we didn't really think of it as kind of money or currency, more of a kind of this social accounting, if you will, to sort of, you know, encourage people to give away things they don't need anymore, and then make it easy and, you know, not really cost too much money for people to get stuff that they might want. So then it evolved into this trading system, and the currency kind of formalized, and now it's really, you find all types of goods, both used and new, and people just kind of really enjoy trading, buying and selling, and all with, you know, with our app token, which is really interesting.
All right, thank you, G. So we're gonna, here's a third question. It's out to both of you. We know that Listia is now integrated with props, and what does this cooperation mean to both of your parties, and what achievement you've made right now? So who should start from? Still ID?
Sure. So first of all, thank you, G, and your partner, James, for joining props and believing in the project. And, you know, we come from a background in media, and, you know, most of the apps on the props network are media and video apps. And the Listia deployment and the success that Listia is seeing with props in an e-commerce context and marketplace is very important to validate that, you know, props works in any vertical where consumers are engaged and can be rewarded for their loyalty. And so, you know, it's very impactful for us to prove the model. And, you know, I let G elaborate on exactly how props is working in Listia.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Eddie. We're really, you know, excited to partner with you guys as well. Yeah, so Listia's integration with props, it went really smoothly. So on that note, you know, it was really easy. So far it's been really a great fit for our community and our product Listia, you know, both on the website, also our iOS and Android apps, kind of fully integrated into there. It's been a couple months now. Users really enjoy earning props. So props on Listia allows you to boost your bonuses. It reduces your transaction fees. So it has really tangible rewards that our users, really want. So I think back when, I think earlier this year, we've actually known about props for a long time, but we chatted with Adi earlier this year, end of last year. And it just really seemed like a natural fit for our community. And, we actually had an old experience points and level system. It was, mostly, just for fun, just for show. But our early users really loved it. So props really bring sort of this great mix of a reward engine, but also, giving you a financial stake in the network. And given that our platform actually already has a lot of blockchain enthusiasts on it, it was a really good fit. Talked about, early on how Listia is a lot more about gaming and kind of social interaction. So props also really elevates that game mechanic element that Listia has. Like Listia has dozens and dozens of badges and things that users already want to earn. So now adding props on top of that, they can grow their level, but also kind of earn a larger stake in this network. While in the short term, getting more perks, bonuses, day-to-day benefits that really, help them use Listia. And I think it kind of asked about like just early engagement numbers, things like that. So I think we looked at after the first 30 days, really quickly, actually, a lot of our engagement numbers went up on average around, 10%. They've continued to grow. The props, level system really just kind of keeps that engagement coming. And I think most importantly, we're seeing older users come back and engage as well. Because, they have friends on the site who say, hey, you should come back and check it out. They've added a lot of new interesting things recently. And one of the, I think, most telling things, and it's built into the props system already, but actually a lot of users are bringing props from outside the network, sorry, not outside the network, outside of the marketplace. And they've deposited over 1 million props onto Listia just so they can get the bonuses and lower transaction fees and what have you. So it's not only about earning props on Listia, they actually realize, that props is useful to them as a buyer or seller. So they bring props from outside and deposit them into Listia. And it's not something it's something we knew, was built in, but we didn't really imagine it would happen just within the first 30, 60 days. So it's been really interesting.
Oh, cool. Thank you, G. And the next question is for G. So from your perspective as a partner of props, so what do you think of the project, the props, and how would you describe it, and what about its future?
Sure. So I think like many other apps out there, even Starbucks, all types of businesses, they have this concept of loyalty points. Games have this concept of like experience points and levels. And, we always tried to build that into the product to make it fun. They were just largely cosmetic. So, you can show off your status, but not much else. And props really is a game changer, I think, in this space. Not only gives users a stake in kind of this network that they're creating, but also just like day-to-day real tangible bonuses and perks. So you can imagine at a Starbucks, like you get discounts or you get free coffee, but also the more you go, the larger and larger kind of the stake you're building in this entire network. And you can take, those props and use them on other apps, other services. I think that's sort of the long-term vision. Yeah, I think for us, it's been really unique. It's a way that people, tie together goals and badges and experience, but also provide real value to users. So I think they're kind of poised to kind of take over that space, I think. On the kind of tech and product and innovation side of things, it was really easy to integrate. So as a partner, we really appreciated that. We actually have some blockchain expertise on the team. I know a lot of, Web 2 companies really don't. So, the props team has really done a great job making it easy for, non-blockchain sort of technologists to easily just kind of integrate this all into their platform. You don't need any blockchain knowledge. And that's really a huge benefit when we talk about, blockchain adoption, token adoption. You really need to think about your partners first and make it easy to integrate without, needing to know all the ins and outs. Yeah, I think as for their future, just from the last, several months in our experiences, we definitely see a really bright future ahead. I've talked to Adi about different ideas in their roadmap. I think he'll jump into later. But as more consumers see sort of this benefit that tokens can bring to all their favorite apps and businesses, I think props is like really primed and set to be in the best position to kind of capitalize on that potential moving forward. So yeah, really excited about the partnership. I think it's just, everything's just so early, not just our partnership, but tokens in general. And you talk about like business adoption and then consumer adoption. We're early in the cycle, but I think they definitely carved out, their position and just kind of growing it stronger and stronger.
Okay, great. Thank you, G. Thank you for your conversation. And the last question before the lottery draw is to Adi. How is Props native token economy model designed? And what is the role and utilities of Props token for its holders?
Yeah. So, we believe in a world in which a vast array of assets are going to be tokenized, from intellectual property to real estate, from currencies to capital. And loyalty points are no different. They're a utility backed by the value that they provide. The discounts that they provide, improved fees, unlocking functionality. You heard G saying that his users are going to the market to buy props to bring them in order to unlock, these discounts and fees and whatnot. And so that's really what is backing the value of props. And the more apps and the more utility that is joining the network, the more value accrues to the props token. And we are keen to be first to market to capture this opportunity by providing tools to, as G said, enable existing Web 2.0 apps to easily deploy the token on their apps today without having to write any blockchain code. So, we're targeting existing apps to tokenize apps, not dApps, and apps are where the users are. We expect to capture a significant value from this market opportunity into the props token.
I finished? Okay, so that's all in the first round. And we're gonna enter the lottery draw. 那么谢谢二位的分享啊。现在我们首轮的提问环节到此告一段落，然后下面进入第一轮的弹幕抽奖。我还是向大家先简述一下这个规则啊，就是第一轮和第二轮都会抽5位幸运观众，但是很重要的就是一定要微信登录。如果你只发弹幕不微信登录的话，我就会显示你的地区加网友，比如说 北京网友、山东网友，那么我们就不会予以抽取。这次的奖励是刚才我已经说过，是发这个 Props 的项目代币，然后每个人是300枚项目代币。那么我们第一轮的弹幕密码，也就是你们要发的弹幕是 Props to the moon，Props to the moon。我看有没有工作人员帮忙打在那个公屏上。然后再强调一遍啊，只能是微信登录用户，然后每个人只能获得1次奖励，重复中奖或者未登录的将视作这个作废，并重新抽取。那么我们现在开始抽吧，然后我大概每过10几秒钟抽出1位用户。哎 ，OK， 第1位。第1位用户是，看一下啊，我们的目标是100倍，我们的目标是100倍，第1位用户，然后第2位用户，第2位是有来无去（括号已购举报双峰）啊，这位用户，然后第3位用户。第3位是李荣，然后第4位用户。第4位中奖用户是，哎，这个中奖用户好像打错了弹幕啊，那我们顺序到下一个，重新抽一下，是 whatever， 然后这一轮的最后1位，北京网友，我这个作废了啊，我们再重新抽一个。OK， 这个应该是护清晨吧。OK， 那5位都抽完了。那么这次的代币，因为暂时还没有上交易所，所以到时候可能会需要你们的以太坊钱包，然后到时候你们去联系一下那个滚动弹幕上面的工作人员，微信号是 Cindy-BlockBeats， 然后加他们，然后给一下他们你们的信息和地址就 OK。那么我们 OK 进入第2轮提问吧。All right, so the first round of lottery draw is complete. Now we're gonna enter the second round of questions. And this question is to Adi for you. And props, we know, is being upgraded to the next version. So could you please share some more details about the upgrade? And what's the best part, you think, in the new version?
Sure. So we're really excited about some of the optimizations and specifically the governance, where token holders who are staking are not only will not only be earning props, but also really deciding on the day-to-day reward protocol to the apps, and in a type of a prediction model, deciding how the props flow from the protocol to the app. So that's a really important update. We're also going to be launching a portal where all the apps that are going to be joining and those that want to join are available for the token holders to evaluate. And lastly, we mentioned that part of our go-to-market is to bring in Web 2.0 apps who know nothing about blockchain. And so we are continuing to develop tools that are very much SaaS-like tools that enable Web 2.0 apps to easily implement props, much like other services that they're used to. So that's where the main development effort is happening. And we're launching some of these tools already this month. to the existing apps, and the rest of them are going to be deployed in 2021 throughout the year.
Right. Thank you, Adi. And the next question, it should be overall the seventh question is to both of you. And we know that both of you were successful Web2 entrepreneurs before entering the blockchain space. And would you like to share some of your experience in the traditional internet industry that have been successfully applied to blockchain, or I mean, what you're working on currently? So what about start from G?
Yep, sure, thanks. Yeah, so when people ask me that question, I usually like to go back to kind of our Y Combinator days. The mantra there is build something people want. And that I think is sort of a golden rule that we live by. And if you want like a more technical description, it's really talking about like product market fit. So this lesson, and we keep learning it over and over, even now, is like, you know, you think you have this great idea of something that people will need, will want. You think it solves a problem, so you build it out quickly, and you iterate on it, and you launch it, and nobody uses it. And it's really, it goes to show that, you know, at the end of the day, it really only matters if, you know, you end up building something people really want to use. And there's a lot of ways to go about it, you know, different ways to research, or even what I said earlier, like you build it and iterate and test, and that's a very valid way to get to product market fit as well. The key is not to kind of fool yourself that, you know, your idea of how the world should be is correct. You really need the users to sort of guide you and show you the way. For example, on Listia, actually, we built it to be kind of this like electronics and gadgets and, you know, old iPhone sort of platform, but it quickly evolved into, you know, clothing and collectibles and shoes, and it's just not something we imagined, but you kind of go with it because that's what, you know, that's what people are using it for. So when you tie that to blockchain, I think it's almost like doubly important. Blockchain is this amazing technology, and as builders and hackers, like, we love it for that. And it's easy to get into the mode where you're trying to apply the technology to things out there, right? And maybe it doesn't need a blockchain here, you don't need blockchain there, you don't need tokens here or there. But we keep trying because we love the tech. So I think the advice is simply like, take a step back and make sure you're solving sort of a real problem with this technology, and that's where you'll find the most success, rather than playing with the tech and hoping, you know, to happen upon a problem. And that's not to discourage people hacking away and playing with it, but in terms of building sort of a lasting business, I think that would be my advice.
Mm-hmm. Right, that's impressive. And what about you, Adi?
So like G, I've run both B2B businesses and B2C businesses, and in the end of the day, it's always about these basics that G is talking about. Building for long-term fundamentals, not for short-term gains. Being, you know, honest and transparent with your users, your partners, your community, your clients, and being accessible to listen to feedback from the market and from your users, as the product is always a work in progress, and developing it in collaboration with your users will generate the best results moving forward. So we try to live by that, whatever business we are in, and certainly it applies to props.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to both of you. And next question is especially for Adi. So we're getting, do you have any plan to list a token on any exchange, or when investors can trade props tokens? Do you have any plan on that?
Yeah, so we expect a listing on exchanges in the very near future, on Asian and international exchanges. And I'm very excited that our millions of users will finally be able to buy props more easily and bring in the props utility to the products on the network and not just earn it. So that's a really big deal for us. It really seals the virtuous cycle that we are building. And we expect to make a formal announcement this month about the exact timing and detail.
Right, cool. Thank you, Adi. And I saw the time is too early right now, so actually all questions has been asked. So I just add one more question. So what would you say to investors and your fans in China? I think especially for Adi, because I know that your community users are very active and they always talk a lot. So what would you say to them?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for believing in us and for trusting us over the years. And thank you for taking the time to show up today and get the update. And, you know, we come from a traditional venture-backed environment where you build the businesses on a strong baseline for the long term. And that's what we are doing here. So I hope you'll be with us for the long haul, and we'll continue to communicate. We want to communicate better and better. As you may have noticed this year, we hired a couple of colleagues in China in order to enhance communication with our Chinese community members. And so we intend to continue that. To translate everything that we do also to Mandarin and keep the transparency and improve it over time.
Right, thank you. And what about you, G? Because actually, to be honest, we didn't see much promotions of the Listia in Chinese. And the last article I can search on the Baidu, I mean the Chinese search engine, that's 2 years ago about your token listing. So do you have any plan to enter Chinese market or anything related to Asia or Chinese market?
Yeah. So Listia right now is primarily in the US, also a little bit in Canada, and starting to move to Europe a little bit. We've always wanted to kind of enter sort of the Asian market. It's more a matter of, I guess, resources and timing more than just desire. So yeah, we would love to kind of be able to enter that market and bring sort of this concept of freely buying and selling and trading to China and kind of the greater Asian region. So I'm not sure exactly when that would happen. I think as you know, as Props grows on this network, especially if Props becomes a larger and larger kind of presence in China, it might make that a lot easier as well. So.
Okay, thank you. And actually, we're collecting some questions from audience. And here's questions that's about ownership economy. And let's see. The first one is, Props owned by its users? Can you share some more about what has been accomplished so far? Actually, this has been answered. Maybe I can pick up another one. Here we go. What is loyalty capital? What does it differ from traditional equity capital? And Adi, can you answer this question?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And, you know, traditional capital by definition means tokenizing a cap table and tokenizing equity. That's not what's happening with utility tokens. That's very different. And Web 2.0 apps that are going to be adopting blockchain and that are adopting blockchain are not going to retrofit their business and are not going to bring the token holders into their cap table. That's just not going to happen. But what is going to happen is effectively creating a joint venture with their users by introducing this new asset class that is backed by the utility of the application. Sharing with their power users, sharing with their users who contribute value, some of that value that is being created. And with blockchain, you can do that mathematically and transparently, not just with power users who spend a lot of money on your app and can effectively be getting cash back, utility back, and capital-like behavior because it is scarce and it can appreciate in value. But you're also their psychological buy-in by the fact that the app is rewarding them with something very tangible that they own, that is theirs, and that there's a reason for them to stick around because they're building this loyalty capital effectively in this app and not in that app. Let's take an example of Uber and Lyft. At one point, one of them is going to introduce some form of upside participation to the drivers. The drivers right now are going out to demonstrate when Uber is going public because they're earning $9 an hour and the Uber executives are becoming multimillionaires. That's not a sustainable system. And eventually one of these, car sharing companies is going to introduce something like loyalty capitals, where every time a driver finishes a ride and gets 5 stars, well, they're getting a token. And that token has a scarcity value and utility value, etc. Once one company does it, the drivers are going to want to drive on that company. They're going to be loyal to that company. And that's why we call it loyalty capital.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it's interesting. And do you have any thoughts on that, G?
Yeah, sure. I think early in Listia, we always had these users, and this is back when there's just a few hundred listings on the site, and early users were kind of falling in love with the funness of it. We would get messages like, I love Listia. This is so cool and new. How can I invest, or like how can I be a part of it? And there's never really a good answer to that. So now with sort of this idea of loyalty capital or ownership economy, and really like it's been in the works for many years, but maybe only achievable now. We love this concept where your early power users are not only helping you grow the platform, but they should be rewarded for it. They should be extra incentivized to help you grow it. In marketplaces, a lot of the time, people start selling on a new marketplace because they're getting more sales, right? But at the same time, they could actually be incentivized to bring in a lot more additional sellers or additional buyers if the right incentives are there. So instead of just kind of doing the selfish thing and getting all the buyers for themselves, now they're bringing more and more people to the network because it gives them sort of this greater good. So yeah, we love the concept. I think it not only will help two-sided marketplaces grow, but I think certainly it'll create sort of this new breed of apps and products that hopefully, they'll kind of rise up out of nowhere and compete with a lot of these incumbents, especially these days when you hear a lot of, unrest with gig workers, drivers. They're really providing all the value in these networks but only getting paid sort of the minimum amount, right? So yeah, I think it's great for both the consumers as well as entrepreneurs who are working on these projects.
Right, thank you. And I just saw an interesting one. This is about your regulation. And we know that props received an exemption from SEC regulation A+ in June 2019. How does SEC compliance affect props, and how do you see the impact of compliance on the development of blockchain industry? To answer that, Hadi.
Thank you. That's a great question. And because our center of gravity is in the United States, and because traditional business in the United States are cautious and conservative, it is a unique competitive advantage to have the qualification and approval from the SEC. Because any conversation with a business in the United States will start with, unfortunately, today with the lawyers. And so having that stamp of approval and moving that issue out of the way and just focusing on the product is a tremendous advantage today. I think that over time, there'll be clearer and clearer guidelines in the United States and in the world in general. The book, so to speak, would have been written, and new companies that are starting out will have a very clear path of how to do it. We had to invent the path for ourselves, and we were the first consumer-facing token in the United States to get this certification. That's the short of it.
Right, finish. And here's another question about this one. As I mentioned at the beginning today, that Props has two KOL investors. They're Casey Neistat and Phil DeFranco. And we know that both of them have maybe tens of millions of fans on YouTube. And could you tell us why they invest Props, and how's your relationship and partnership? Yeah, I think.
Both Casey Neistat and Phil DeFranco are visionaries, and they are mavericks, and they think outside the box. Often you will see videos that they create speaking about the YouTube adpocalypse and demonetization and different issues that power users online who build businesses on these platforms are dealing with. And they themselves are looking to be partners in the businesses that they, in the platforms that they're on. With blockchain and with projects like Props, there is that promise. And so we're very excited about their investment and their participation. And we look forward in the years ahead to them leveraging their audiences also to help grow Props.
Okay, cool. So how about let's do the last one. We know that Props has a lot of world famous investors, and how they value Props. I mean, not only the KOL I just mentioned, I mean, also included USV, the A16Z, and some venture capitals like that. How they valued Props.
I think there are very few projects today that are actually touching regular consumers. Most blockchain projects are targeting, by definition, crypto enthusiasts and the 1% who is savvy to use wallets, etc. And so I think that is one of the most exciting aspects of Props, is the fact that we are gaining market share today with regular users, and we're bringing those users into the blockchain world. I think we're going to see more and more of that happening, and more projects, making progress in this direction. It's starting to happen, and that's a very, very promising direction. Simplifying the world for those users, and so gaining adoption is certainly the first and foremost thing that our investors are looking at.
Okay, thank you, Adi. And I think that's our question today. Thank you for your sharing and actually very good conversations today. Thank you so much for your participation and appreciate so much for our audience today. And actually, we're gonna have the second round of lottery draw, but before that, maybe you can say goodbye to our audience. And
thank you very much, Yao. Thank you for having us, and thanks everyone for coming.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Really enjoyed it. Great chatting with everyone.
Thank you so much. Good. And so that's it today. See ya.
Okay, bye.
Take care. Bye bye.
这个我们今天问题部分已经全部结束了。今天问题其实今天准备的问题有点少，所以我们临时又收集了3到4个问题，还挺有意思的。我们接下来进入更有意思的环节吧，这个第2轮抽奖了。第2轮抽奖还跟第1轮一样，我们还是会抽出5位幸运观众，每个人获得300枚 props， 一定要是微信登录的用户。然后到时候我们中奖的用户联系官方工作人员的时候，留下你们的信息，包括你们的以太坊地址。然后因为这个 props 暂时还没有上任何交易所。OK， 我们现在第二轮的抽奖弹幕又有所变化了。第2轮的抽奖弹幕是收听播客，律动1个就够了。收听播客，律动1个就够了。All right， 我们现在开始抽最后5位抽奖用户。来，弹幕可以刷起来。第一个，是局外啊，局外。对这个局外有些印象，感觉每期都很活跃，看来是我们的忠实用户啊。然后第二位是王东，第三位是 Lina。那么第4位是乔麦麦。第5位是 Christina Lee。那么这就是我们今天全部的直播内容了。然后因为现在已经12月份了嘛，所以我们接下来可能会安排最后一期，在这个新年到来之前，也可能不安排，这个我们看计划，到时候应该是还会有一期吧，我们到时候期待吧。然后也欢迎大家继续投，就是给你们喜欢的项目投票，也推荐一些更新的、更好的项目来给我们增加我们的这个直播的范围和趣味性，好吧？那么今天先这样，大家再见，下一期再见。